Tonight on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, we go over Week 2's chaos. You boys ready?
Ready.
All right, it's time for Garbage Time. Welcome into Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Tonight, we are running the best kind of show you can. That's a show without Ron Seymour. So tonight, it's me, Joe, JJ, and Ryan. How are you boys doing?
Excellent.
Yeah. What were you guys' thoughts on Week 2 Sunday, besides Ryan's team stopping my team live and in person at MetLife Stadium?
Well, yeah, so I missed a lot of the 1 o'clock games because I was busy watching Zach Wilson throw 4 interceptions. At one point, I believe he had more completions to us than he did to his own wide receivers.
He did. First 3 out of 4 passes, there was more picks than actual completions. Hey, they were completed passes at least.
That was worth all the missed games.
I was watching the Bears game, but I obviously flip over to the Red Zone channel on commercials, and every time you went over there, someone was getting hurt. So I think that's kind of the theme of the week. All the injuries that happened. So,
well, and your boy Justin Fields getting out there. We can't forget about that, but we'll end up getting into that tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's get into the voicemails really quick. We have the return of the Angry Christian show now, we're going to call it. So let's get into this. So now let's hear what our boy has to say to us.
Hey guys, it's your favorite Heckling fan here. I just have a question for all of y'all. Whatever happened with Singletary, running back for the Buffalo Bills, being a bad prospect in fantasy football? Just throwing it out there, because he scored some points, guys. He scored some points, and you let your fan base down as usual. From you guys.
That's a lie.
That was very mild for Christian. He must have not had his coffee before doing that or whatever.
Or he got a little bit of weed before he did that, or he was just really busy and just waking up from bed like Ryan was suggesting. Thanks, Christian, again for trying to hold us accountable and stuff, but that was. As
a caveat, we are in no way saying that Christian actually smokes weed.
Yeah, no. Christian definitely does not, especially not for his job or anything along those lines. Anonymous voicemails, right, Christian? So, yes, anyway, what Christian is referring to here is Devin Singletary being a good running back and us saying that the Bills were going to run on first, second, and third down to avoid that backfield situation. There's something very strange going on in that backfield right now where they are actually effective at running the ball now, apparently, this year, and Josh Allen is good at playing – not good at playing quarterback.
Well, I'll say this. Christian, obviously you didn't listen to my takes on Devin Singletary. After week 1 of the preseason, I gave a great scouting report saying that Devin Singletary looked fantastic. I also took him in multiple mock drafts on this podcast. So if you weren't paying attention and you're maybe under the influence of something, that's on you, buddy. Also, I think part of Devin Singletary's success is because teams are game planning Josh Allen. Last year they saw him throwing at a significant rate, and the Bills kind of abandoned the run. And this year teams are taking away the throw for Josh Allen. It's opening up lanes for Singletary on top of him being healthy. So, he's definitely looked good.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting considering their wide receiver situation too, where outside of their top guy right now, there's a lot of question marks behind him because they seem to be spreading it around. And if he's not getting a lot of yards right now, not going to be worthy even of a bench spot.
Ryan, what were you saying?
Yeah, I still don't know if I love him. I mean, most of his points came from one run. He had one big 40-yard run that accounted for half of his total yards for the day.
Very true.
So I still don't think. I think he's gonna have games like this, but it's gonna be a matter of guessing which game. So yeah, he had 13 attempts for 82 yards, and like I said, like 46 of those came off of one play. And I'm also seeing he had 2 fumbles last week and a fumble this week. He hasn't lost either one yet.
Mhm.
They all go out of bounds.
Concern. Yeah.
So do you think it's way too early to be panicking on him then? To just, hold steady and he'll be fine for the rest of the season?
Well, Ryan, I don't think there's a huge fan of the rest of the season outlook.
No, I don't. I don't like it. I think he's gonna have these weeks where everyone's gonna be like, "See, I told you so," but then he's gonna have.
He's okay.
You know,
I think he's a flex option. I wouldn't. I mean, depending on the size of your league, if you're in a 16-team league, he could be your RB2 if you're desperate. But I mean, I think he's a flex play on week-to-week basis, matchup basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 8 points last week, so I wouldn't be tooting the horn on him just yet.
So don't worry, Christian. Your boy's going to be just fine up there, and the running game will regress, as it always does in Buffalo, especially when it starts getting a little bit colder and those knees start locking up. Anyway, let's get into the news.
News updates.
Well, boys, the news of the day, Big Ben is bitching about his team, and Ryan's dog is howling in the background. How good is that? Just like Big Ben is about his offensive coordinator saying that he doesn't exactly like the game plan. So what do you think's going on up there in the Steelers nation?
Oh, good. Casey, keep the shirt down.
Yeah, we don't need the belly, Casey. Keep it down. Before we get distracted with that big belly, tell us about Big Ben.
I think most of the offensive struggles are offense 101, and that's the offensive line. They just cannot get the run going, coupled with Ben Roethlisberger's weak arm, and teams aren't afraid of him throwing over the top of them to AB anymore. It's far from those days. So the line looks just terrible, and they can't get Najee Harris rolling like they wanted to. They're trying to get him the ball, but it's just not working out, and it looks eerily similar to last year with all the short passes.
I agree with that, too. And on a side note, too, I really enjoy the fact that Ryan was staring at Casey while he was scratching his ass, and now Casey looks like he was like picking his nose or something going by. Ryan, what do you think about Big Ben's comments kind of dishing out on his coach and how the offense is run?
Well, I think JJ got it right. I mean, they don't have to worry about Big Ben's big arm anymore. Najee did look a lot better this week than last week. I know at least in my fantasy league after week 1, I already saw him on like the trade block. People were bailing on him that early, but he did look good. So
that is interesting that you say
know.
that too, especially on Najee up there, because I did throw 2 offers in on him. And eventually I was able to make a trade with JJ and get rid of the guy that I finally wanted to. He was big on Robinson up there. So, JJ, would you like to tell him about that trade before we move on to the news?
Joe and I made a trade.
A very interesting
one. Basically, I traded away Alvin Kamara to Joe. I have some concerns about the Saints that we can touch on in a little bit, but I traded for Allen Robinson, who I think people are panicking on a little bit, but I saw some encouraging things this week. So,
yeah, he thinks his boy Justin Fields is going to get him tearing up the field too. And if you want to make a comment on how stupid you guys think that trade is, www.garbagetimeff.com. You can leave angry hate mails like Christian does every once in a while whenever he feels to getting around doing it. Whenever he's hitting the doobie, it's just a little bit slower, I guess. But anyway, on to our next little bit of news. Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled the ball for the Chiefs, and what is he going to do going forward?
Nothing. It's not even worth. He's not even worth starting anymore.
JJ, would you buy him low?
No, I didn't draft him. I don't really want a part of him. It's a pass-first offense. He hasn't looked that impressive. Darrell Williams got the short touchdown. I want nothing to do with the guy.
So would you trade him away just on the name right now, if you could?
CEH, yeah, I'd try and sell him for maybe a desperate running back team, a team desperate for running back.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with your sentiment there. I'm not very big on CEH. He's got a big name. Like I said, that comes along with it. A lot of fantasy players like that. Trade him potentially if you actually have a chance before it's way too late and they end up going to another running back. In 49ers Nation, what the hell is going on in the backfield? We have JaMychal Hasty with an ankle injury. We have Sermon with a concussion and Elijah Mitchell getting a shoulder injury but coming back into the game. What is going on up there with the running back situation?
It's a mess. I saw they brought in who they bring in? They brought in Lamar Miller and someone else for
Trenton Cannon, I believe, correct?
Yeah, but someone else today too. Someone different. It was two guys, Lamar Miller and someone else. I'll figure that out before the end of the podcast. But yeah, they're looking for more running backs, and it sounds like a high ankle sprain for Hasty, so he's going to be out multiple weeks.
He's not going to be going tasty for at least a few weeks, I'm guessing. Honestly, I really do believe this, and I did draft him at this point, so there's a little bit of bias here. I think Sermon coming off the concussion is going to be the best one to get some work coming back into this, especially the shoulder injury. Yes, long term that could have effects on him, but it's not an immediate injury. He's not going to have concerns with in the short term, I believe.
I feel like a lot of players that people thought would be good on this 49ers team are not doing well. I mean, Joe, your boy Ayuk.
I put a lot of investment into that, and I'm still waiting on it.
I mean, Kittle has still done minimal work. So it's been a pretty disappointing offense as far as fantasy goes.
I've had the luxury of waiting the last 2 weeks, luckily because Kyler Murray scores enough points for 3 players. So I do have that luxury of waiting, and I don't need the bench spot right now. So I guess it's just a wait and see game for me because I really don't have that much of a choice. I invested a lot of stock in it, so I'm rolling with it. On to our next story, Tua Tagovailoa. Broken ribs. He's day-to-day. The severity of it's really not known. Bruised ribs, not broken ribs. Day-to-day. Don't know if he's going to play this week, but he's day-to-day. I think it's just pain establishment if he can actually play. Do you guys think his backup is actually going to play this weekend?
I don't know. It's a pain tolerance thing. I mean, they're going to it'll probably be one of those situations where it's going to be all the way up to the inactives are announced 90 minutes before kickoff. They'll probably bring him out for the pregame. I would guess they'll bring him out for the pregame, have him throw, see how he feels. Who do the Dolphins play next week? Next week, the Dolphins play the Raiders in Las Vegas. So
it's going to be a tough matchup for him, especially, partying the night before in Vegas. So,
yeah, and Carr is actually hurt too. So that could be an interesting could be – and Mariota's out, so it could be Nathan Peterman versus Jacoby Brissett.
What an elating lineup. I can't wait to see that game. All right, we do showdown. I know, right? We do have a lot of news, though, so we'll move on to the next story. JJ's going to like this one. Andy Dalton hurt, but according to his head coach, starter when he comes back. Is that bullshit?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I've listened to some stuff already today, people saying Fields look bad because people don't watch the game and they just look at the stat line. But he made some impressive throws. He did hold the ball too long at multiple instances. He had a couple false starts, so he looked like a rookie. But he's going to start this week versus Cleveland. Andy Dalton has a bone bruise, and I know that sounds like just a bruise, like how bad can it hurt? But I've been looking at this a lot, at the history of that type of injury, and Pro Football Doc, who works with Fantasy Pros, said Dalton's probably out until October. So it sounds like Fields will be starting the next 2 games. And like you said, Nagy says that Dalton's the starter when he's healthy. But if Fields goes out and tears up Cleveland and then he plays the Lions week 4, I don't really see how you can go back to Dalton. But
dude, it sounds like coach talk, which is if Justin Fields plays just all right, this is going to be his job. All he has to do is go out there and not turn the ball over, I feel like, and this is going to be his job.
And I watched the press conference, and Nagy wouldn't commit to anyone. He said it was part of the game plan. He wouldn't say if Dalton would start, if he was healthy enough. And then evidently after he left, he sent someone from the PR department back into the media room and just made an announcement that Andy Dalton is the starter if he's healthy. So only in Chicago, man.
He's running that sinking ship right there, and he just it's only the front cabin that's sinking, though. The team is going to be fine. It's just Nagy's cabin that's sinking down there. They'll bring in someone else next year. They'll be completely fine. Justin Fields will be fine right after that. On to our next little bit of news. Carson Wentz Twisted both of his ankles, apparently. I don't know how the hell you do that, but you twist both your ankles.
We need your
Must have
glass
been
sound
quite the
here,
juke.
Ron.
Yeah, we're not doing that glass sound tonight, though. We have too much to get onto, so not fantasy relevant going into this week, so just completely forget about him. Delvin Cook got hurt, but went back into his game. Darrell Henderson has a rib injury. Also, I believe Landry is going to be out of game. That's going to affect all the Browns wide receivers. Adjust lineups accordingly. And Deontay Johnson got hurt on the very last play of the Pittsburgh game. Do you guys have any thoughts on any of those injuries?
The T. Higgins one I want to keep an eye on because he's someone I usually start in my flats. He's been doing pretty well, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on that one for sure.
I think he went back in, but he was definitely banged up pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then Deontay Johnson, it sounded like it was not serious. And I'll say this, I'm not trying to call the guy out or anything, but like 3 times a game, Deontay Johnson like causes a timeout and lays on the field and then comes back in 2 plays later. So Dalvin Cook does a little bit of the same, but I think Zimmer said it was a sprained ankle for Cook, but I don't think it was that bad. So I think he'll probably play next week.
JJ, that roast hurts as much as that sunburn on my face that I got at the Jets-Patriots game.
That what?
I said that roast you just handed out to him hurts as much as that sunburn on my face.
And the guys, I see it a lot. Anytime that I got the Steelers game, like once a game he stays down and then comes back in. So I don't think there's a whole lot to it. I think he'll be playing next week.
I'd rather take a productive wide receiver that's kind of a little bit of a diva on injuries as opposed to a rookie quarterback throwing 4 interceptions. Don't worry, he'll get better, but it's just painful. And with that, let's get into the weekly recap. Just how I feel after watching. Just how I feel after watching Zach Wilson play this weekend. So yeah, in my pit of depression.
Oh my god.
Oh no, absolutely not, because that's how I feel every week now.
Joe's a Halloween buff.
I love it, man. Absolutely love it. All right, boys. First game we're going to cover here: Broncos and Jacksonville. I mean, Bridgewater is making a real question here. Is he a viable fantasy starting quarterback?
He is for me, who's currently stuck with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's matchup dependent, but I mean, like next week he has the Jets, so he could definitely – sorry, Joe, but he could definitely torch them at home.
He could.
Is it their home – I think it might be their home opener too. It is their home opener.
I will say this, though, JJ. You're talking a lot of shit about the defense. The secondary has actually played very well for a young defense. It's even the run game's been pretty good. They haven't let anyone score more than 25 points. So, yes, the defense is young, but it's actually been sneakily good. So, it's not the defense. It's the rookie quarterback that's killing us on turnovers. Not bad, 25 points considering they had 4 turnovers. This should have been much worse in that game.
Didn't Sam Darnold have like over 200 pass yards at the half last week?
Oh, he did. And we'll get into Sam Darnold, too. Don't worry. Just, the pain just keeps continuing for me. Also, Javonte Williams split cover carries with Melvin Gordon, who was a piece of that trade that me and JJ made today, 13 for 13 on carries. Sutton was an absolute monster with 9 receptions, and Tim Patrick had another touchdown.
Yeah. Sutton was probably the story of this game. A lot of people didn't know if he was fully back, myself included, after last week when he was pretty quiet. But without Judy, he got peppered with targets and completely outdid everyone by a mile in this offense. So he definitely looked like the man this week.
Going forward, he looks like a number 1 wide receiver. He was absolutely getting peppered with targets, as you were saying. At least a low-end number 1. Number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah, probably wide receiver 2.
Also, yeah, I agree. Yeah, until Judy gets back, hopefully in a few weeks. Also, James Robinson, he did get some carries, but nothing within the 20 because, God forbid, Urban Meyer give the most talented running back on that team the fucking ball.
Yeah, that's just a bad situation there. And they got the Cardinals coming into town next week. They're going to be 0-3 real quick. So
yeah, they're looking like a top 5 pick real quick.
Nothing new there.
That's all right. Urban Meyer was, secretly through the lifelines looking at the USC job. He's like, I can't leave just yet. A few more weeks after another coach gets fired, I'll consider it. So on to the next game. We'll let the pain for me continue. Saints and Panthers, too. Sam Darnold, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns. DJ Moore is the clear number 1, scores a touchdown there. McCaffrey does McCaffrey things.
Yep. Ryan, you want to lead off on this one? Oh, you did you watch the game?
I did not watch the game, but just based off of what I heard and what I saw as far as fantasy goes, it just goes to show what a player can do when he's not on the Jets.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that is actually be successful. Christian McCaffrey, I had a few concerns. He went out. I think he went out for a little bit, came back. They said he was dealing with some cramps. They don't think it'll be an issue coming into next week.
That's why Ron's out tonight.
It's the only reason he's out tonight.
But yeah, a pretty legit offense they have going there, and even Darnold might be a streaming option when it comes to fantasy, depending on where you're at with your quarterbacks.
You know the worst part about that too, Ryan, is as soon as Wilson threw that pick off to the right, we're sitting in the third deck, right side of the field. I looked right over and saw at one point Darnold was leading the league in passing. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me today. Of all days for me to see that right after he throws the pick. Going forward, I think Darnold's going to be a successful quarterback with the Panthers, at least for a few more weeks. We'll see about the latter half of the season. He's definitely looking better. They're getting him open reads too. And I mean, when McCaffrey's on your team too, it's always going to look good. And I'm glad the belly's showing up here. Casey Anderson, special guest host. A Monday Night Recap.
Must be a baby emergency over there.
I don't know.
That's right. He doesn't know what happens. He's just freezing the screen. So
Ryan's doing, but I'm sure I'm going to do a lot better.
yeah, so much better that the screen's frozen, Casey. All right, Casey, did you watch the Saints Panthers game? Yeah, we can hear you. Should I just mute his ass?
Yes, so, dude.
Yeah, we're just gonna do that. We're gonna mute Casey right there and remove him from the stream altogether for now and see if Brian comes back in. So so JJ, in the meantime though, you have a concern about the Saints run game, correct?
Not just necessarily the run game, just the offense looks a little bit wonky. They torched the Packers last week, and the Packers were really out of sync. But Jameis looked bad. I think they really don't have a one receiver. A lot of people, Callaway had so much hype in the preseason. I was really hopeful for him, but it's just been a slow start for him. Mm-hmm. And then Kamara, he's not getting the passing work that he typically does, and only 8 carries. And it was a negative game script, but I just I don't like their schedule too much because the Panthers defense, to give them credit, looks legit. They got to play them again.
That front seven surprised me.
They got to play the Panthers again. They got to play the Bucs twice. So I'm kind of cooling on the Saints players. I had a lot of hope for Tony Jones too. I talked about a lot about him in the preseason, but I'm cooling on him a little bit. I don't like their game plan.
I understand it was a bad week, for him, but I was more than happy to take him off your hands for my number 2 receiver there, because I know he's a little bit of a homer for you, but he also hasn't been producing for me too. So more than happy for that. So under a nice game too.
Wait. I think so. The trade blew my mind. So I think JJ's either going to come out as a genius if Kamara busts, or he's going to be like the biggest idiot of the season if Kamara just status quo. So it'll definitely be interesting going forward to see how it works out. Definitely, it was a very interesting game for Kamara for sure. So it'll be very intriguing to see how he does next week. I'm actually most upset that I haven't played Joe yet, and you just gave him Alvin Kamara. So that's kind of annoying. But other than that,
I'm petrified that who is going to come in at quarterback for the Saints. I just
Mike Williams.
They're playing.
Tyson Hill.
They're playing.
He who shall not be named.
He who shall not be named. I won't even say his name anymore on this podcast. But they're playing. They're playing up in Foxborough next week, and I can just see the Patriots scheming up Winston and kicking his ass, and then Sean Payton changing something up and bringing him Taysom Hill, who just destroys Kamara's value.
I will say the Jets were actually having some success running against us.
Yeah.
So So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes once when they go up against the Patriots next week.
The typical strategy, though, is to take out their number one weapon, which our number one weapon was our number one wide receiver. Unfortunately, with the Saints, it's the number one running back. So that might be a little bit rough if they're stacking the box against it, and they're going to make Jameis Winston do it. But you know what? I'll take that 1 week off with him and let Dalvin Cook do his thing and, have a successful season and hopefully win a championship now that JJ's traded him to be. Hopefully it's not one of those seasons where he has 6 touchdowns in 1 week and that's his whole season production. And with that, we'll move on to our next game too. So Rams and Colts. This was a little bit of a strange game because the Rams got out early in it. But I got to ask you guys the question here. The Colts were competitive here and Stafford looked good. Is he going to be a top 5 QB this year?
No.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I was the only one that had him in my top 10, right? At the start of this year.
You did.
He's on the front. You said top 5, right?
I said top 5, Ryan, not top 10.
I think he could be top 10, but not top 5 with the no rushing ability and
he will be top 10. He will be top 10.
Yeah,
Well,
I think top 10.
He'll definitely be top 10 if
5.
Cooper Kupp keeps doing what he's doing.
Which just guard him. Is it that hard, guys? Just like I have Robert Woods, so I need Cooper Kupp to be guarded. Am I asking too much here? Is that?
Yeah, it's tough because you look at the targets and Kupp got 11 targets and Woods got 9 targets and Woods also had 2 carries, so they basically had the same amount of plays designed or targeted to them. It's just Kupp caught the big stuff. So, and he seems to really developed a good relationship with Stafford. He definitely seems like his favorite to start. So
I would argue that a lot
Hawkinson with Stafford there. Wait, no.
I bet you no.
Never mind.
No, you don't.
Never mind. Wrong team.
Former team.
Last year. Speaking of their tight end, Higbee was a huge bust this week. Very disappointing.
He was. There's a lot of mouths to feed there. I think you're going to get a few weeks from him on that level. I wanted to say something else about Robert Woods, though, too. Some owners might be panicking with him, and he's a very big piece in a very prolific offense. It might be a good time to buy low on him if you're looking for a trade target and need to improve your wide receiving core.
I like that.
On opposed to the other side, too, you got to read on this Colts offense because it's very strange.
I did see a stat that, like, Jonathan Taylor has been getting a huge amount of carries in the red zone, like significantly more than most other running backs in the league. So there is some hope for Jonathan Taylor fantasy owners. I don't know about the rest of the team, though.
Yeah, he had a tough matchup. He's got the Titans next week, so I predict that Taylor will probably have his first 100-yard game of the season. But for me, I was glad to see Michael Pittman have a big game because I talked him up a lot this offseason.
He's a pit boss now.
I projected him to get around 1,200 yards. So last week he started a little slow, but now versus the Rams, he has 8 catches for 123 yards. So, however, as you said, Carson Wentz sprained both his ankles somehow.
How the hell you do that? I have no idea.
So Jacob Eason didn't look very good. So I'm pretty worried about the pass catchers for the Colts, at least in the short future here.
Carson Wentz is a walking medical bill at this point. It's just impressive he's even upright at this point.
Yeah, the foot and then both ankles already, and
his insurance premium's got to be insane. Does it work with car insurance? With like every claim it goes up.
The only doctor it can afford is Tyrod Taylor's doctor,
and it shows.
Which he's also injured. I don't know if we covered that.
No, not yet.
We did not. Oh no, we haven't yet. Don't worry, we'll be getting to that. Yeah, so, and Nyheim Hines really didn't do much in this game, too. Taylor actually did get a little bit of passing work, too. So that's an interesting thing to look forward to going into the following weeks to see if Nyheim Hines actually takes the role back in the passing work again or if they roll forward with Taylor. On to our next game now, too, because there's a shitload of them to cover. Bills and Dolphins here, too. Yes, Christian, Singletary was very, very good in this game, just like last game, too. Moss got 2 touchdowns, which was very odd. I don't know if you can be conducive with him going forward too. And really, Josh Allen is not an MVP candidate, as we said this time. And the Dolphins' running game was very inefficient. Gaskins flat out sucked. Waddle honestly looks like their number 1 wide receiver right now. That is until they get another wide receiver back from suspension, injury, personal issues, whatever you want to call it, going on with him right now.
Yeah, they said he's back now, so he came back. He's back with the team, so he should play this week. This week should be Will Fuller's debut. So,
and what do you boys think about Tua again?
I don't know. I don't know.
No.
Keep him on the bench or keep him fun?
He's not playable besides 2 QB leagues, and he's had some tough matchups here to start. He had the Patriots and the Bills, tough division games. So he's got the Raiders, the Colts, and then the Buccaneers. But then he gets the Jaguars and Dolphins. So it's a spotty schedule, but he could rebound, but I'm staying away for now.
I think there's much better streamable options like a Teddy Bridgewater, a Sam Darnold, or a Carr. So,
Carr,
which is shocking.
Yeah, if Carr's available in your league, you need to add him. The guy's
I'm going for Carr this week. Carr.
He's dropping Burrow, going for the Carr. Get in the car, guys.
I wanted to give Burrow a week. I gave him 2, and he let me down. He's out.
Yeah, pending health though with Carr, he's got his ankles banged up, so we got to keep an eye on that. But
rub some dirt on it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely no problem there anymore. Right? All right, on to our next game. So next one we're going to talk about, JJ. I'm going to give you the floor. Bengals, Bears.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from this game is the Bengals defense is a little bit underrated, especially versus a run. They didn't shut down Cook, but I think he had like 20 carries for 60 yards, and Montgomery had virtually the same 20 for 61. They may have had the exact same stat line. So they've shut down 2 pretty good running backs in back-to-back weeks. Next week they get Najee Harris. So look for Najee to disappoint again next week, potentially.
I was shocked to see you guys shut down Mixon like that.
Shut down who? Mixon?
Yeah.
The Bears
especially with that workload he got, because he struggled a little bit last week, but he got a bunch of work and was still successful because of it. But you're right, that front 7 is looking good.
The Bears front 7, it's no joke. And I mean, their secondary too caught a lot of crap last week for the busted coverages. But Jalen Johnson, their corner, is the Pro Football Focus's #1 rated cornerback right now. When he had an interception this week, so he looked really good, and the defense bounced back. They're tough at home. They just Soldier Field plays really slow, and it's a defense-friendly field. So that's why I said it was going to be a Tyler Boyd week, which it was. He led in receptions and yards for them. So
3 pits to only win by 3 points, though. That have you a little nervous?
Yeah, it was. It's a product of the offense. They had great field position all game and just couldn't capitalize for a little out of sync. Settled for too many field goals. They should have been a blowout. You're right. Couple cheap garbage time. That's the title of the podcast. Couple garbage time touchdowns to Chase and Higgins. So
their wide receiver group's pretty legit though. Boyd, Higgins, Chase. They all put up decent numbers this week.
Not bad, yeah. The touchdown really saved Higgins and Chase. But it was pretty balanced. But they've run more than people thought they would. So Nixon's definitely a workhorse this year.
Yeah, no, he's going to be getting the full workload there, and I think with that, you guys have covered all your thoughts on this game, right?
Besides, I didn't really touch the Bears, but.
No. You definitely have to get into that. So cover the whole side of it.
I'll go quick. Offense with Dalton looked efficient, kind of shorter stuff, but he got him down the field and scored the opening drive, threw it into Allen Robinson, shredded around nicely.
Jay to say that.
Was he as efficient as Teddy Bridgewater?
I don't know. He didn't throw for as many yards. It's just we just can't have a quarterback, just one quarterback that has good stats. It's just always something weird or stupid happening. So
it's
good game for Mooney though.
Yeah, Mooney looked good. He had some targets. He had one drop on Fields that hurt, and then Robinson had a just devastating drop. He would have had a big day, and Fields' stat line would have done him 180 if he just caught the touchdown that hit him right through the hands, right in the chest. So Beautiful throw. So that was tough. Field's stat line looks bad, but he did some good things. He just needs to get the ball out a touch quicker. But I think with a week of practice, working with all the ones finally, he can get that down. And
it's going to make him a top 2 or 3 wide receiver, apparently, right, JJ?
Robinson it better for what I gave up for him.
Gave up quite a haul for him. And with that, too, we'll move on to the next game 2 here. So Tom Brady did this to the Falcons. He sabotaged the shit out of them. 5 touchdowns.
You're welcome, JJ. You're welcome.
What the hell happened?
Oh, a bad defense played against the GOAT, and the rest was history.
Yeah, absolutely. The rest was history. I heard on the Fantasy Footballers podcast, too, the rules of 2s, which is 2 of their players are going to play well and the other ones will not. This was not a week for Brown, but it was a week for everyone else.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, based on your math, how many touchdowns for Brady this year? Based on Joe math.
If you want to go by Joe math, that's what, 11 touchdowns already in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
No, it's 9.
He's got 9?
2, 4, and then 5.
Well, he's going to break the league record by like week 10 if we go by this pace.
It's fine. And he's got Brady is so calculated, man. He's got it all set up, so he's going to break the passing yard record in New England week 4. Mm-hmm. He's going to break the touchdown record this year.
I can't wait for that game. I absolutely cannot wait for that game. That game is going to be insane.
2 weeks.
Absolutely 2 weeks. So some notes about this game, though, too. It's not only the Patriots, the Bucs that played in this game. The Falcons did play, and Kyle Pitts did look good. He had a solid game. He's not playing like a typical rookie tight end. He's getting peppered with targets. They want to get him involved.
Yep, he's basically a wide receiver, honestly. He had 6 targets, but
I think he got 5 of them for 73 yards, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Yep, that was the stat line. And then Ridley had 7 for 63, so he hasn't gotten off to the start that we had hoped. On this podcast, we really hyped up Ridley, so we're still looking for him to take off. This offense just isn't there yet.
Yeah, no, it's not there, but the more desperate they get, which is in the coming weeks, the more Matt Ryan is going to have to throw the ball. So look for him to start hyper-targeting Ridley, and Ridley is going to have good weeks going forward. Matt Ryan might be a streaming option later on in the season. Avoid him. There's a lot better options right now. Play the matchup maybe later. Also, Gronk had another fantastic game. 2 touchdowns, dependent. He's slugging his way around. I think he hammers a beer after every play now. Just, he's having fun down there in Tampa.
Yeah, remember last year when Ron said you should never draft Rob Gronkowski?
Yeah, that sure was real good too. So Ron did this. See, you don't only need to use that drop during drafts. It's perfect for when no one's here to defend themselves, right, Ron? Sabotaging his own damn takes. Ryan, do you have anything to add to this game before we move on to the next one?
No, except I think if you do the exact opposite of what Ron says, you'll have an amazing team.
Yeah, you're going to be in for a very successful season. Notice in our league of record, he's not talking about his team, but in his dynasty, boy, does he talk about that a lot. He's very happy with his dynasty team, but where it actually counts, the redraft league, not a lot of talking right now.
Any comments on Mike Davis? I feel like he was getting taken pretty early in drafts this year, and I don't think it's going to pan out at all.
He was getting taken somewhere between the 5th and the 7th round, depending on the league and where your running backs went to. Mike Davis just is not getting it, and weirdly enough, Patterson is the running back, which makes no sense because Cordell Patterson is a wide receiver. But good for you, Atlanta. We're happy for you.
Yeah, 9 to 7 carries respectively between the two, so almost a 50-50 split.
All right, let's move on to a holy shit game. Cardinals and Vikings. Wow, is Kyler Murray looking like the MVP of the league right now?
Yeah, it doesn't look close either.
Yeah, no. Cook looked good in this game, too, 131 yards. Cousins looks efficient, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns. Boys, can this offense, and I asked you last week, work with 3 wide receivers there now that KJ Osborne is emerging?
I think so. I mean, their defense looks pretty bad, like it did last year. So if they're going to keep getting in shootouts, they absolutely can support 3 wide receivers.
Yeah, I think he is eventually going to be the replacement for Thielen, too, who is now 31 years old. They might look to get rid of him in the offseason. Man, did they find a find in that kid, too. And he's taken plays away from Jefferson, which is absolutely amazing. He's absolutely electric, too. On the other side of the field, too, Rondale Moore looked very electric for the Cardinals, too, which is insane because they have so many pieces on that offense, and it's going to be hard to gauge which one's going to play well between him, A.J. Green, Kirk. It's just crazy.
This was a concern about DeAndre Hopkins is all the weapons they have, and they added more. And I'll tell you what, man. Right now, Rondale Moore leads the Cardinals in yards, targets, and maybe touchdown. I can't remember if it's touchdowns or not, but he is very involved in the offense, and Kyler clearly trusts him already. So
might be another guy to buy now if you want him, because I think Rondale Moore might be in for a good season. That game line that he had did not show how well he actually played in that game too. He looks absolutely electric in that offense.
Good. And real quick, I want to touch on something.
Max Williams?
No, I have. This is nothing to do with this game. This is a random stat for Ron. So we all remember. It's very early, but we remember where Ron ranked Daniel Jones in our way too early ranking.
Oh, we sure do too. And Christian remembered too because he loves to bring it up.
Now, as of now, before Monday Night Football through week 2, guess who is a top 5 fantasy quarterback this year?
That would be Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones is QB4.
Oh, no.
Oh God, please no! We just cannot deal with it.
I'm picking him up.
Adam playing versus Ron. Yes,
oh my God.
He's QB4 right now with that rushing ability. He's scoring points. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah. All right. Let's now talk about the game of the week. Jets versus Patriots, the one that me and Ryan were absolutely live at. Holy shit, did Zach Wilson look like a rookie? But Bill Belichick does that to
Harris, boys.
Yeah. Well, talk about the positives, and then I'll go into my depression after, Ryan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from the game was Damian Harris and James White. Both were put up very viable fantasy numbers this year. I think Damian Harris could be an RB2 in your fantasy team this season. He looks awesome. So as long as he doesn't fumble and get put in the doghouse, he could be. And then James White, I think he'll always be a decent flex option. Mm-hmm. Matt Jones did check down to him a lot, especially, and I think he'll continue to do that.
Can't believe it.
Yeah, no way.
Patriots quarterback shut down never happens.
Yeah, no. Just ask Stevenson. He's in the doghouse right now, though. Too. You're right about that fumbling material.
I'll take a check down over a Hail Mary interception any day.
Whoa, was Zach Wilson throwing a lot of those? Yeah, no, it was scary. So outside of the number 1 wide receiver on this team, you do not want a single piece of this offense. The offensive line did play better. They did protect him, but he was staring down his wide receivers straight in the eye. We were watching him from the stands. I could see where he was going to throw them. He just looks flustered. He doesn't look good right now, and he needs to settle down before any of his players are going to be fantasy relevant right now.
Yeah,
I will say this though too. So they made Justin Herbert look horrible last year. They scored 40 points against him, and he was a rookie last year. So I'm going to throw this game in the toilet, not panic yet. We're not going to win a ton of games, but I think we will see advancement. Like Ryan said too, those running backs are fantastic. But as for the rest of the Patriots offense, it's hard to tell who's going to get the plays on offense.
Well, yeah, because we were all high on Jacoby Myers, and then Nelson Aguilar came out last week.
Yeah,
put up solid numbers. So then people were like, "Oh, Aguilar's the guy." Comes out this week, doesn't really do anything. Corey Davis, I think, burned some people this week because after his numbers last week, I think he was a starter in a lot of lineups.
To be fair, though,
3 points.
To be fair, that is a typical Bill Belichick plan. Get rid of the number 1 option, which he did this week too, and make you beat him deep. But
or the only option. As far
that
as
was the only option, which is why he also got targeted by Zach Wilson. He threw 4 picks. Yeah, thanks for that.
Just all the defenders were on Corey Davis.
Yeah, every single one of them because he wasn't throwing the ball anywhere else. All right, let's just throw that out to the side now. I can't talk about that anymore. I might cry on YouTube right here. Anyway, Chiefs-Ravens. What a fantastic game this was.
Yeah, except for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, no, he was, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So, no, I was saying for game value, it was a very electric game. Patrick Mahomes did what he did. Edwards-Helaire is going to be scary to see what he does going forward because he may be in Andy Reid's fucking doghouse going forward. He's hurt them 2 weeks in a row now. Marquise Brown had another impressive week. And going back 6 weeks last year, too, is when he really started to come on. He really well be a wide receiver, too, at this point. He's actually starting to show consistency, which is surprising in this small offense.
Yeah, he's 10th in the league in receiving yards this year, so he's actually getting more volume. It seems like he may not just be a boom or bust kind of guy this year. Lamar's really making it a point to look at him. And last year he complained a lot that he didn't like the volume he was getting, so I think that's been a point of emphasis for Lamar and the Ravens, to get him more touches, and he's looked good, man.
Yeah. And boys, is Travis Kelce ever going to slow down?
No.
That 46-yard touchdown was insane. The run after the catch, he's just that's crazy. He's the same age as Gronk, and he's look what he does.
And will Lamar Jackson, Ron's boy, win him a championship this year? You don't have to answer that. I'll tell you that's no. That's only going to do that in our Megala Bowl, not in our actual league. Any other thoughts on this game?
Tyson Williams looked good, I think. He was averaging almost 6 yards a carry. So if they keep using him as their main bat, I think you have a viable fantasy starter there.
Yeah, I believe you do too. As long as he stays healthy, there's been a lot of injuries in that backfield. They seem to have gotten it under control, unlike the 49ers. So just keep letting him do his thing. Watch it, and I think they'll be fine.
It is tough because Murray seems like the goal line back, so unless Williams rips one off, his touchdown probability is probably pretty low. But yeah, he did look great.
It's almost like that awful certain Washington running back that ruined my week.
There's nothing worse than a
J.D. McKissick, who I had a little bit of a special on our YouTube clips there.
I don't like him.
Yeah, well, guess what? The inconsistency is going to continue there in Washington because, unfortunately, he is a pretty good passing down running back, which JJ said that they weren't going to get any work. But that's okay, JJ. It'll be every other week. You told us that he wasn't going to be fantasy relevant at all, but I wanted to put him on all of our rosters. I don't think he's worthy of.
Yeah, I did. Yes. I did not like when you wanted to pick him.
He didn't look too bad last week, though, did he?
He got lucky, Joe. He got lucky.
He did, and that's why I told you on the clip to hedge your bets. You know, it's okay to stash him, but do not put him in your lineup yet. Wait another week before you do that. Hedge your bets. All right, so on to our next game, too. The one that we thought was going to be the shootout of the week, which did not end up doing it. It was a running back slugfest. The Chargers and Cowboys. Pollard is an every week.
Pollard, man.
Oh my God, he's an every week start at this point. And Zeke had a good game too. So let's not get past that too. It's a split backfield at this point. Pollard gets some passing work too. CeeDee Lamb, I think, had a decent game too, but it was a running effort. And Eckler got some passing work.
Yep, kind of the opposite this week for Eckler. He got he have 9 catches. So looked like his old self. And Tony Pollard is a thing, man. He looks good, and he's cutting into Zeke's carries heavy. It's a
8 yards a carry.
Yeah,
8 yards a carry the other day.
Boy, did Dak have a weird week, though. It was very good for their team this week, but just not good for fantasy football.
8 points.
A whole 8 points for you.
Ryan, how you feeling about our trade?
I wish I sent you Dat because I feel like you would have done it for Dat too. So I'm really upset with myself.
Yeah, I probably would have.
Yeah. See, that makes it worse, actually.
Yeah. Mike Williams is cutting into Keenan Allen's work too on the other side of that ball. Keenan Allen's still looking good, but Mike Williams is getting a lot of touchdowns.
I don't know if he's cutting into his work. It's just they're just throwing the shit out of the ball. So they're both.
Well, you do that when you have
a ton of targets.
You do that when you have an MVP caliber kind of quarterback on the other side.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, Herbert looks good. His stats aren't that great, but he looks good throwing the ball. Those touchdowns will come. He had a lot of penalties, and he plays the Chiefs next week, so that should be a nice. We said it last week, but this should actually be a shootout. So.
Yeah, that'll be a game where Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets 150 yards and Eckler goes for 120 or something weird. Do not take that as a quote. That is not going to happen for Edwards-Helaire. Maybe Eckler, but not Edwards-Helaire.
Too late. I already wrote it down.
It's already in the books. All right, so
It's in the
I do
books.
another big game too. Titans rebound against the Seahawks here. So I projected the under on this game. I thought it was going to rain, but the Yeti takes over, destroys them, and that's that.
Yeah, the Titans didn't really bounce back. Derek Henry bounced back and just ran all over them.
35
He did.
carries.
Winter's coming early there in Nashville. You know what's kind of scary too is it looks like he's getting a little bit of passing work now too. What if they actually throw that into his repertoire? He's going to win you a fantasy championship.
The new offensive coordinator, he's 6 targets, 6 catches. That is, if he's catching passes, he's RB1 this year.
Yeah, speaking of yeah, you're not kidding, man. And speaking of number 1 at their position right now, Tyler Lockett, number 1 wide receiver in all of fantasy football right now. Another big game.
Monster game.
Ridiculous.
He does something to confuse the shit out of those safeties and gets those deep balls. There's no inconsistency with him through the first 2 weeks. We'll see if he goes cold for a little while, but I just don't know if he will.
Me. He terrifies me because I could see myself going all in and then him putting up like 2 points. So it's so scary.
He's gonna play captain mode. He does.
He's got a good matchup next week, so he's playing the Vikings in a dome. So
yeah, that'll be the one where Go ahead.
Is he drawing the number 1 cornerback on these teams, or is that going to someone else?
It might go to him next week.
Well, they played the Titans and Colts, who don't really have lockdown corners. They're playing the Vikings, who now have Patrick Peterson, who has historically shut down DK Metcalf. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lockett gets free again and has another 100-yard
right
game.
So you think they'll just let Lockett get his and
I don't know.
Hope for the best?
I don't know. Metcalf didn't look that great, honestly, this week. So we'll see what happens up in Minnesota. He's due for a big game.
He did. The running game for the Seahawks, too, it looks good, and they got into the end zone twice, too. Carson didn't have a lot of yards, per se, but he did have 2 touchdowns, so that helps, too. I think they're going to be efficient from week to week. He's going to be a running back, too. He's going to do exactly what he did last year, too. So you're going to have a very good floor with him and not a very high ceiling. So I'm still high on Carson. I think he's going to be good, too. But he's no Yeti. But anyway, we'll move on to our next game, too, unless you guys want to cover Julio Jones real quick.
I think you just said, yeah, he looked
the
good.
touchdown that he didn't get.
Yeah, he looked good.
Number 1 wide receiver of the team as of this moment. A.J. Brown did nothing.
Yeah, A.J. Brown needs to bounce back next week versus the Colts. Tannehill had 347 yards, and Brown only had, 43? So
yeah.
I'd like to see him get it together. But, yeah, Julio looked like his old self. So.
All right, and then we got 3 games left. So Raiders and Steelers. Like I said, Big Ben is bitching about the offense. Derek Carr looking like a top 10 quarterback for the league right now. Ruggs finally got a 100-yard game with a touchdown, which is kind of interesting because he may be another target you might want to trade on a high note because people are going to think that he's going to break out. I do not think he will. I think he'll just start throwing to his tight end again. And Najee Harris getting the work, getting some passing work. Buy him low because pretty soon you're not going to be able to buy him, I don't think.
I don't know. I really don't like that line.
I do because I think he's still going to have a good year. And Deontay Johnson, the injury concern is interesting because he had 105 yards, got targets, and on the last play of the game, he got hurt. You can hate me on that last line, JJ, but he's getting the work. Eventually it's going to work for him. He's going to be like Taylor this year, where he's going to look good in the second half of the year. Yes.
I mean, I have him on multiple teams. He's on my dynasty team, obviously, so I'm hopeful for him. And he looks good. He's a talented kid. You saw him stiff-arm the solo out of Jonathan Abram in this game, but they're not blocking for him. They got to get it together.
They do. Any thoughts on this game, Ryan?
No.
Are you too glued to Monday Night Football for that to happen?
Oh, I mean, you are kind of pushing into that time, but
yeah, I'm getting close. So let's get to the last 2 then. Philly 49ers in this game, all the running backs got hurt.
Yeah, there's potholes in that field or something.
There is, and there's a pothole in George Kittle's head because what the hell is going on with that tight end?
I don't know. Single-digit numbers, I think, the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
for how early you probably had to take him to get him on your team, you're not even remotely happy. My boy Hutchinson, I'd take him over Kittle all day at this point.
Quez Watkins also had 117 yards, so it's tough to tell who's going to get the yards in that Philly offense. I think it's a very effective offense where you can take your chance with it week to week too. The running game, it's all right. I think it'll work out this year. There's some beef back there. And like I said, a bunch of 49ers players are still in the doghouse. I don't know what the hell Kyle Shanahan's doing that. I think he hates fantasy football owners, especially me who invested a lot on that team. So figure out what the hell you're doing there so I know what the frig to do with these players on my bench. All right, Kyle Shanahan.
How much did you pay for Ayuk again?
$26. $26 for a guy sitting on my bench the first 2 weeks. I'm lucky I'm winning because I'd be a lot more pissed off about it, and I'm still pissed about it.
Brutal.
His face is turning red because no,
it was already red.
it's just red anyway.
Yeah. And what do you guys think about Jalen Hurts too?
He's fine. Weird game. He had a passing touchdown called back, and then Watkins should have gotten in. It was such a long play and 91 yards, and he didn't get in. So he's got a high floor because of his rushing ability, obviously. And another point, Zach Ertz went on the COVID list today, so just keep an eye on that. I don't know if he actually has COVID or what, but the Eagles play the Cowboys next week, so you could see Goddard have a potentially decent matchup versus linebackers.
Go Derek. Say his name right on the show. How dare you even mention it like that?
I refuse to say his name wrong to satisfy
you. Go Derek.
Right. Go Derek.
Yeah. All right. With that, now we'll move on to the last game so you can actually watch some Monday Night Football. Okay, JJ? Texans and Browns too. Well, Ingram kind of viable this week. The Browns fucking shoving it right down their throat with the running game. That looked effective too. Odell didn't play this week. Jarvis Landry is going to be out for a week.
At least convenient timing playing the Bears next week. So
you'll take that then.
I'm just going to say this as a fantasy owner and fan of football. Give Nick Chubb the ball. 11 carries is inexcusable. The guy could – I project him to lead the league in rushing, and he easily could if they gave him 20 carries a game. The guy –
Kareem Hunt's there, so they're not going to. They want to keep you fresh.
Kareem Hunt. And then they give Andy Janovich the goal line carry. Fuck you, Kevin Stefanski. Fuck you. Okay, man? Give that to Nick Chubb. He deserves it. Give him his carries, damn it.
How dare you take that work away from him? Those are his stat lines. His points, damn it. He works for him.
Fullback touchdown.
Nick Chubb needs to hire JJ as his agent.
I'd love to be his agent.
He'd have fantastic contracts.
I would have got him more money than he got, though.
I can see it now. 2 years from now, Chubb's going to get traded to the Bears, and JJ's just going to be absolutely fucking electric about it. It's coming. He's going to be David Montgomery's co-starter up there.
I'm okay with those two. I love both those backs. They're old school guys.
Mm-hmm. Anything to say about the Texans?
Tyrod got hurt, like Ryan said. I'll let him get into that.
Mm-hmm.
No, just say he's hurt. I don't really know what his issue is.
So that means Mills is going to start. I heard a hilarious comment on the Fantasy Footballers today. They're calling him General Mills. Perfect. Absolutely fantastic for a shitty Thursday night football game. So General Mills, do what you do there. Prediction for tonight. Who's going to win the game?
Wait. Tyrod Taylor, they said it is a level 2 hamstring, likely to miss multiple weeks.
He already
Hopefully he doesn't go to his old doctor, or else he's going to be gone forever. So I don't know who their backup is, but it's not looking good for any players on the Texans.
It's
Davis Mills.
That's what I just said, General Mills.
And they said Watson isn't going to play, so I don't know who their backup quarterback would be. They'll probably have to sign someone this week if Watson is out. So we'll see.
It'll sure be interesting. And the real question is how much is Green Bay going to win by tonight?
Not off to a good start. 7-0 Detroit right now.
Really?
I think the spread was -11.
Well, they're not covering it right now. And with that, let's get out of here so we can actually watch this slugfest.
Wait. Who got the Detroit touchdown?
Quintus Cephas.
Quintus Cephas.
No.
Whew, that's a name to watch for fantasy football. All right, guys. So you can watch us on YouTube, obviously. Leave comments, likes, subscribe to the show. Leave voicemails on www.garbagetimeff.com. Maybe sometime we'll have a Garbage Time presents the MMA podcast. If Brian actually keeps his damn word and we don't just see Casey's belly over there. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio. Leave reviews on Apple. As I already said, Spotify too. And if you guys have anything else to say, leave us a voice and hate mails on the website. We'd love to hear it. We also are on Instagram too. So listen to us anywhere you have podcasts. All right. Good night, guys, and have a good Monday Night Football.